But it wasn't until I started working at Cali 93.9, and I want to say specifically with Angelica, that I learned to love radio.
What are some of those like non-traditional ways?
They hit me up like, hey, we want you to promote something on social media. And I'm like, all right, cool. Like, well, let me figure out how I can negotiate. Like, I just did one with Honda, and they paid me. Unfortunately, our society, and not just the entertainment industry, is very vain. What did it say? You did not get the job again. So I was like, fuck you guys. Like, if you guys aren't going to want me, I'm going to want myself.
If I wanted to get into the entertainment industry, how do I even get into a known station?
I wanted to prove to myself. I mean, there was I want to prove to everybody that I can follow my dreams, especially my family. I think it was the notion of the what if. What if I actually tried? What if I actually started a podcast? What if I actually sent out an email and said, hey, I want to work with you guys. How do I do it?
Thank you very much for coming.
Yeah.
When we first heard of you, I started listening to on Cali 93.9.
Oh, really? Oh,
yeah.
I wonder how they got in contact with me, or like how they found out about me.
That's how we found out about you. And I know, like, you would mention from time to time that you had your podcast, Echale, and more than anything, you wanted to educate the Hispanic community when it comes to finance, because I know that's something for us we had to learn on our own. And so that's something we're like, man, this guy actually wants to do something for the community like us. That's why we're also doing the social media, just to give back a little bit more, because in our case, we would have loved, and I'm pretty sure you would agree, we would have loved to have someone to tell us or guide us or give us the direction of, how to become successful, or how to just make a little bit more money, how to save, how not to go into debt, because we went into debt.
Yeah.
And so
I'm still in debt, so don't trip.
Okay.
So if anybody wants to pay for my student loans, let me know.
Yeah, and so like we would have liked that. But just to get into it, how's your experience working at 93.9?
It's amazing. I'm about to hit 4 years, depending on when you're hearing this. But in 2024, in January 14th, I'll hit 4 years in Cali 93.9. And it's been a beautiful experience, just working alongside great people like Angelica Vale, Sergio Catalan, Karina Mansour, Luisa, Angie, who's not there. She's now at Live Nation. But it's a blessing because just within our team, there's just so much diversity and so much energy that it's so attractive. I always love to say that when I was in my previous job, I learned like the technical side of radio, but it wasn't until I started working at Cali 93.9, and I want to say specifically with Angelica, that I learned to love radio. And I don't think it's just radio, it's just the aspect of entertaining, because they do say that you are the summation of the 5 people that you spend the most time with, and maybe they're not the best with finance because we've talked about it, but they are hella entertaining people, and that's contagious.
Yeah, for sure. How'd you get started though? Because I know I would like to know how to get into, like, if I wanted to get into the entertainment industry, how do I even get into, a known station in Los Angeles?
Tell me about it. Like, obviously, like, as Latinos, I'm sure when you guys started a business, it's like, well, how do I even start a business? For me, it was very similar. It's like, how do I get into the entertainment industry? I have no family. I have no leverage. I just have it's a kid with a passion and dreams. And that was literally me since a young age. I started watching novelas, and it wasn't even because of my mom. So many people think like, oh, tu mamá veía novelas. I'm like, nah, it was my dad. And I would like sit down and watch him with him because that's what he would do when he would come home from work tired as hell. And I was like, you know what? That's what I want to do. I was super shy in high school. I started taking acting classes in high school. Just like me metía en la boca del lobo. I was like, fuck it. Like, I don't know if we can cuss.
Oh, you're good. Cool. You're good.
All right. But I was just like, you know what? I'm going to try it out, and I'm going to be brave and daring. And little by little, I started taking improv classes, which definitely, if anybody wants to go into TV, radio, acting, improv, podcasting inclusive, improv is your best friend, because you're just going to learn how to yes and. That's basically the premise of improv. It's like whatever somebody says, yes and you sway the conversation, switch the conversation, or add on. You never want to kind of like, no, because then you sound like a douche, and I've learned it and I've seen it with Angelica. But to make a long story short, I finished my bachelor's degree at Cal State San Bernardino in marketing. I was doing acting, but then a lot of my friends who were, graduating, they were like, we're working at Blockbuster at the time, when it was still open. And kudos to them for reaching out the dreams, but obviously growing up Latino, I was like, well, my parents came to this country and with nothing. I actually want to do something, but I want to chase my dreams. So majoring in business marketing was just similar to I guess performative. Like marketing was a performative aspect of it because like you're performing or you're educating on a brand or you're creating campaigns, etc., etc. But while I finished it, I was able to intern for Univision for 2 years, unofficially paid. So I had to pay my dues, and I was interviewing during that time, and I was getting rejected, et cetera, et cetera. And 2016, I was like, you know what? I've gotten rejected so many times from Univision. Entonces, I went on a Europe trip with 2 of my friends, and there I got an email from them, and lo and behold, what did it say? You did not get the job again. So I was like, fuck you guys. Like, if you guys aren't going to want me, I'm going to want myself. Yeah. So I learned how to edit. I learned how to record myself. I learned how to get comfortable in front of a camera, in front of a mic. And I started my YouTube channel called Echale. It was first started as a YouTube channel. And I was doing that for 6 months. Then Univision called me and was like, hey, we got an opportunity for you. And I got the job. I put my YouTube channel in the back burner, but it was because I knew how to edit, because I knew how, how to talk and whatnot, and all this other stuff, that these transferable skills led me into producing the morning show at Univision, which is Caleb Radio. Did that for 2.5 years. Then they called me for Cali. And so that was a little story. There's a lot of little things in between, but tampoco quiero. Soy hablador. No.
Oh, yeah. No worries. And that's something I had to work on because I know I'm more of a reserved person. And so like talking in front of a camera, that's something new. And I know you said like that's also a good way to learn. Either go to improv or, start a podcast, which is what we're doing. Yeah. And so it's just a little bit getting out of my shell. Because also I want to touch up on the upbringing. Yeah. Because we're both Mexican. Our parents are Mexican. They came to this country.
Who's older? Who's younger?
I'm older by... I'm 29 and you're 27.
Fuck. I'm 32, y'all. Okay. Aunque no me vea. Estoy pollito.
Yeah, so definitely, like, it's just... I think starting more than anything. Not waiting for anyone and just starting, like you mentioned.
Yeah. It's kind of like being brave and taking risks and, embracing the fear. I feel like so many of us Latinos are stuck in the fear and stuck in the what if. Like, ay, me encantaría hacer esto. Why don't you do it? ¿Por qué no lo haces? Yeah. And thank God I've always been that person. That doesn't mean I don't get stuck in fear from time to time and it prevents me or slows things down, but I never want to live in the what if. And I've always been like, all right, you know what? I'm going to take a chance on me. And if it works out, it works out. And if it doesn't, at least I tried. And I'm not going to regret it. No regrets,
No regrets. Definitely. And just bringing it back to the upbringing, I know you said your parents came here maybe to look for a better opportunity. Our parents did the same thing with us. We were born in Mexico.
Really?
Yeah, we're here on DACA.
We're DACA.
You're DACA, even better. Oh my God, I have so many questions.
Oh no, that definitely. A lot of people don't know that, but we're DACA. Yeah. We got it when I graduated high school, and then you in high school.
18 years old.
Yeah,
16. Yeah.
Yeah, it was recent when it passed. So it was not too long ago we got it.
Dang. And how does it feel like as business owners? Like, obviously we're going into a presidential election year that things could change, but it's like you guys are living proof that undocumented people deserve to be here. DACA recipients deserve to be here. You're paying taxes. Yeah. This is your home. This is your country. And it's sorry, I'm also passionate about sometimes politics.
No, definitely. We are too in certain things. So we could talk about it.
Yeah. Well, we'll see where this conversation goes. But that's awesome. What part in Mexico?
We're closer to DF. Okay. It's a small pueblo. Not a lot of people know it, but we just say the Distrito Federal because a lot of people know it. Mexico City.
Got it. Okay, so now what's the pueblo? You gotta shout it out. I also thought people didn't know Tinguindín, Michoacán.
No, it's Tepetlixpa.
Tepetlixpa.
I know sometimes Tepetlixpa. It's 2 hours south of Mexico City, next to Puebla, around Puebla, very close to Puebla.
Okay,
yeah. Yes. I've always found say it. People gotta learn it.
Yeah, definitely. So I know you also said you went to business school or business and marketing.
Yeah.
I know it was the case for us, but it was less of a case where we kind of feel pressure to give back to our parents, and we kind of feel pressure to go to college, get a higher education. Because especially, me working regular jobs, I used to work at the Superior. I used to work at warehouses. A lot of the older señoras, I used to call them señoras, they would say, "Mijo, tienes que ir a la escuela, no tienes que, you don't have to be here." Did you feel you were, in a way, have a pressure to give back to your parents by going to college, or do you feel like you were forced? Because I know a lot of people, especially younger people, who have parents that are migrating from another country, they kind of feel the same way.
I feel like undoubtedly, like as the eldest of three boys, like college was definitely pushed, and school was definitely pushed way more on me than it was on my brothers. Like for me, I had to be the one who graduated college. So yes, it was like, oye, vas a ser doctor, you're going to be a lawyer, you're going to be an accountant. That's all they really knew, the whole conventional aspect, the enfermero. So of course I went to school, and I was straight A student basically, because parents are always toughest on the first ones. I'm sorry if you're like the second one. It's like you can come home with an A- and they're gonna beat your ass. You come home with the C.
Yeah,
you're good, Miko.
That's true.
You tried. It kind of was the case.
Yeah, that was the case.
Yeah. So it literally was the case like that for my brothers. Like I came home with the A, the middle child came home with the B, the little one came home with the C, and it's like, y'all good, and I'm like, no. The fuck?
Yeah.
So yes, college was pushed, but I was also academically, I'd have to say, because I loved the entertainment aspect and memorization and whatnot. Like I have a really good memory. So when it came to like test taking and whatnot, I was just like, all right, memorized and then regurgitated and then forgot type of person. And school was always fun, easy to me. I'm not even going to lie. Then college came and I just didn't know what to major. But I did feel, obviously from my older cousins too, like your parents came to this country. Your parents got this far just for you to get this far. Like I wanted to major in acting. They were so against that. And I was like, okay, you know what? I have to be realistic here. It doesn't happen for a lot of people, and it doesn't happen for a lot of people in our community. Maybe it happens a lot more in Mexico. But then there's also this notion of colorism. But then there's also this notion of my parents aren't going to let me go live in Mexico City. How am I going to pay for stuff in Mexico City? How am I going to compete with people who actually speak the language very well? So I was like, I'm going to do marketing and see how this goes, but I'm still going to be able to chase my dreams and working at Univision, which is also shooting for the stars, because so many people start in smaller companies, right, and work their way up, and Univision is like, that's where they end up, and that's where I started, and I think I was lucky to do so. But I was always the black sheep in the family in that sense, because I saw what family pressures do when you're being forced to do something that you don't want. The eldest of my cousins, he's an engineer. Love him and great. I do feel that he's great at what he does. He's made a lot of money. I don't think that's his passion. But he enjoys it, right? Yeah. He enjoys it. So, but he makes a lot of money, and he makes good money, and he's invested so much, and that I am envious in a good way. But I know it's like, well, does that fulfill you? I don't know. I don't think so, because he said he really loved communication, but he's all like, that was just too easy. And I'm like, well, I mean, you didn't really do it. You just kind of studied it. It's completely different. Then the second eldest cousin, since my eldest cousin was like an engineer, he like started, hey, you should be an engineer. You should be an engineer. And so slowly but surely they were indoctrinating me as well. The second cousin, when he got to Cal State Northridge, he hated it. He hated engineering. He graduated with like another major, but he didn't tell his parents until almost towards graduation. Hey, I didn't graduate with engineering because I hated it. And it was like, because I saw him being pressured so much by our family, like, oh yeah, va a ser ingeniero. Yeah. And not follow his dreams. As soon as I got to college, I was like, no. No, yo no voy a hacer lo que ustedes quieren, yo voy a hacer lo que se me dé la gana. No, pero mira, no me importa. Pero tus papás llegaron, how are you going to? I don't care. I was literally that guy. with my family. I was like, I don't care. I'm going to major in acting. I don't care. Voy a seguir mis sueños. No me importa, no me importa, no me importa. Luckily, like, that worked. You know? Yeah. So, yeah, family definitely plays a big role. I loved my family. They meant the best, but I also believed in myself. So whenever people... when my parents asked, like, oye, qué bueno que seguiste tus sueños. And I'm like, yeah, qué bueno que seguí mis instintos. Porque si hubiera seguido los instintos de ustedes, no hubiera llegado a ningún lado.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, because in a way, we were kind of similar, but I know we had more freedom with our parents.
No, yeah, my parents were a lot more like lenient, because I remember I started going
Lucky.
and that's one of the things that I appreciated about them, and I think is one of the reasons why we became becoming relatively successful, is because of the leniency and the trust that they instilled in us, and they gave us.
My parents that I'm like, I'm not successful because you guys were lenient, Mom.
No, I mean, that's the thing that I think they mean well, but I think it's how they grew up, how their parents were towards them, and I think that just translates to them, and then that would translate to us. And so I think the fact that they were very like, I don't want to say lenient, but they were very like, just they trusted us with what we were doing. Like, I was going to college but then dropped out, you know, like I feel like money was more of a necessity at the immediate sense, so that's why I dropped out. And then at some point we started working at jobs, and then we just started started a business, started selling clothing. We've done a lot of things, selling clothing. We've sold at swap meets, we've sold at a lot of different things. And so that's one of the things, you know, like we wanted just something more. And that's and then I think business is something that we saw that was something that could get us to like retiring my parents. And so granted, we didn't have that life experience, so we just saw, you know, YouTube videos, we just saw people like business, and so we just went all in on that. But the fact that they were very like trusting of what we did, I think it allowed us to just do our thing and then just continue doing it, and luckily we're in a better place now.
And let me tell you, like, just because you dropped out doesn't make you any less than anybody who graduated with a business degree.
Yeah.
Because what you guys are doing here, they don't teach you in business school, unfortunately. And it sucks. And I'm going to be completely honest. And maybe in other universities, not in mine. And I went to Cal State San Bernardino, and I loved the program. I took accounting classes. I think that was probably the most helpful. And I only took one or two because my major was marketing. I was like, all right, I can see how I can apply that to my business. But if I wanted like management and whatnot, it has to be hands-on. You have to go and start a business. You can't just kind of read about it, learn about it. Like you actually have to go and do business in order to fully immerse yourself. So if, for example, if you guys wanted to go back to business school, I think it would be way more beneficial because now you have real world experience in order to bring it back. That's so many people's case. Like, you know, we graduate with a business degree and then it's like, well, we want to be managers, but do you have any manager experience?
Yeah.
Well, not really. And then I got my master's right away. So I took like a semester off and I got my master's right away in business marketing. And when I did my master's, so many people had like 10 years of experience so that they could relate back into the class. I was just like, I'm like, maybe I should have waited, but if I waited, I probably wouldn't do my master's.
And so then with from your point of view, do you think college or graduating from college is necessary or something that would be good to get?
I think the education system is fucked up. I think getting an education at a school or at a university, I would still recommend my kids to do it. What I hate is the corporation, the business that it has become. You know, it's I can't find the word, but literally, es un negocio. Ahora es un negocio. At the end of the day, the rising cost of tuition, it's not our way. Like, if my kids want to major in business and whatnot, I'll be like, you know, we're teaching finance at a very young age. And if you want to run a business, let's look at what you could, like, you want to do a lemonade stand? All right, cool. How much is your lemons going to cost? How much is the jar going to cost? How much table? How much time are you going to invest? Like, what is your ROI? Like, you know, I would do that. And then, okay, cool. Now that you have some experience, maybe let's go to college. Let's get your 529 plan out and let's go, you know? But yeah, if they want to be a doctor, obviously, go to school. Go to school, right? But a therapist, and when you actually need a degree. But I just feel like these rising costs in universities, it's stupid. It's stupid. I literally saw a video that we as Americans, or here in the United States, we pay taxes to the government.
Yeah.
The government, these taxes are supposed to be for like our healthcare, schools, roads, etc. So we're already paying taxes on that. They give these like whether it be grants, loans, whatever, to healthcare systems, to schools and universities. Yeah. Then after we've already paid taxes, which these things should already be free, we still got to pay for them. And it's like, wait a minute, make this make sense, because the math ain't mathing. Yeah. You're already taking my taxes for these necessities. You're giving that money to these businesses and corporations. But then my after-tax money, I still have to use that to pay for college and university or healthcare. Like, nah, something is wrong with the system.
No, definitely. And so like, I guess from one of the things that I got from that is, I guess it kind of also does depend on where they're doing or what they're going for, right? Like doctors, lawyers, accountants, engineers are probably necessity. But what about if that's not of their interest? Would you say just going out and getting that experience is like something that someone should do?
Like getting that experience in running a business, for example?
As a business, as an example, instead of like going to college first, per se.
I would definitely say try it out, and maybe not a 4-year university, like going straight into a 4-year, because they're getting expensive. Like even the cheapest ones are now expensive. But try community college, try a couple classes, see what you like and whatnot. And I think this is probably why I love Mexico's education system. You go straight, which is also bad and wrong. Like you go straight into the career that you want to do. Like I had friends who wanted to major in business. They just took business classes for 4 years, as opposed to here in the United States. You take an array of things and then you're like, all right, well, let me see what I like. And I'll only take 2 years of studying that subject. And I feel like maybe we should indoctrinate that into, I don't know, K through 12. Like, what do you like? And then maybe just go straight into the career that you want. That's why now I encourage so many people, go to community college. One, it's cheaper. You're going to have to take the GEs anyways. So might as well do them at a community college. Yes, you're probably missing out on a lot of the social aspect. That I do love, and I do recommend anybody who goes to college get involved. Like, you will learn way more about life and business and PR and customer service when you get involved in an organization and whatnot. As opposed to just being, if you're just going to go to school and be book smart, it's not going to take you anywhere in life. I'm sorry. Like, I don't care, but you don't have social skills, you don't have people skills. Yeah. You're going to be a robot.
No, that's definitely. No, but on my end, I think I was luckier, because I know, following your footsteps, he was 2 years ahead of me. And so I didn't even go to college. I didn't even apply. And my parents they were kind of, we had that freedom, but they were kind of like, hey, I would like for you to be a doctor, but kind of like how you said, and just bringing it back. That pressure, what kept you going, knowing you still had that pressure? Because one thing is, like, I don't know if you like got to a certain limit to where, like, okay, it pretty much broke the bottle or you know whatnot. And what kept you going?
I wanted to prove to myself. I mean, there was I want to prove to everybody that I can follow my dreams, especially my family. Like, oh, my mom's always been the type of person, you always have the last laugh. Like, you always have, no te dejes a nadie. You always get the last laugh. Be smart about it, be tactical about it, but always have the last laugh. So when push came to shove, I was like, hell no, y'all ain't gonna put me down. Like, I already have grit, because I mean, I'm the eldest. You've already pushed this. I already grew up with traumas. Like, give me one more. Failure is not gonna be an option for me. And so yeah, I just wanted to prove to myself that I could do it, and I wanted to prove them wrong more than anything. And yeah, I think it was the notion of the what if. What if I actually tried? What if I actually started a podcast? What if I actually sent out an email and said, hey, I want to work with you guys, how do I do it? Like, what if I never did that? Well, I don't know, because I did.
And just going off the fact, I think it's also good for people to find a reason why they're going to do the thing they're going to do. For you, it was you wanted to prove yourself. You wanted to prove other people who may have doubted you. For us, it was, you know, we wanted to give back to our parents, provide in any way possible. And it's just like nothing else mattered. People, you're like, oh, you guys are they didn't say that, but like they look at us like we look average.
Yeah,
we look average. To
I was like, same.
Yeah.
Just 3 average Latinos.
Yeah. And so definitely, like, regardless, because you're gonna have your ups and downs in business, or even pursuing a career in the entertainment industry, pursuing a career in something else. You're always gonna have your ups and downs. But I think when you're at your lowest, it's always remembering why you're doing it, and I think it's always important for someone to have that why.
Yeah, and I think you were saying like a breaking point, low point. I think for me was, obviously I gave myself a cutoff time. I was like 25, like that's gonna be when I stopped chasing my dream-ish. And obviously I was interviewing, I was volunteering, I wasn't getting paid. I was driving from Fontana to LA to USC to Cal Poly to have these events, and I'm like, I already know everybody there. Like, what is wrong with me more than anything? Because then you start having imposter syndrome, and that is huge in the entertainment industry. Like, we never think we're good enough. We always want validation, and it just got to the point where I was like, you know what, I need to reframe it. If they don't want me, I'm gonna want myself, and I'm gonna give myself the skills necessary to learn or put myself out there. And I think that goes along with now with my podcast as well. It's like, okay, well, thank God I'm where I'm at in radio, but I want more. Like, I think independence is huge for a lot of people as they get older. Like, we don't want to work for a company, even though we're grateful for a company. We want to have our leeway. Like, we are the generation that we want our cake and we want to be able to eat it too. We don't want to, I guess I get loyalty to a company, right? Statistically speaking, like, if you jump around every 2 years, you'll increase your salary or your pay range. I've stayed in my company for 4 years, but because I love my team more than, and y todo el rollo. And it's also harder in the entertainment industry. So how am I trying to generate income? Doing the stuff that I love via a podcast. Like, it's very similar to radio, social media, trying to get paid through that too. So it's like, now there's non-traditional ways to generate income that I'm also trying to tap into. So,
well, what are some of those? When you said that, like, what are some of those like non-traditional ways of income?
Well, non-traditional ways would be like your Uber driver, your DoorDash driver. I haven't done that. I've considered it, but I was like, I already drive way too much from Fontana to Burbank. That I already put miles on my 2-year-old carrito that almost has 60,000 miles, and I'm like, it's 2 years old, y'all. But social media, when like they hit me up like, hey, we want you to promote something on social media, and I'm like, all right, cool. Like, well, let me figure out how I can negotiate. Like, all right, this is how much I charge, which I'm like, if you want an Instagram story, like I can charge you for 100. If you want 3 Instagram stories, I'll do 250 because giving you a discount. If you want a hard post, I'm gonna charge you 700, and then or so forth. You want like a whole commercial shoot, like I just did one with Honda, and they paid me $7,000, and I was like, all right, let's get more of those. And then commercials on my podcast. That means I signed up with an agency, and they look for the money, and then they just get 30% of the ad revenue, and then I keep the 70%. But they're doing the labor for it, and if I get one on the side on my own, then that's all completely for me, because that's under the contract. Not just my base pay in radio, but every time I do a commercial for radio, that's an additional money. So and that comes with investing in myself physically, because unfortunately our society, and not just the entertainment industry, is very vain. So that means I have to look presentable, whether it be with a haircut, aunque ahorita estoy pal pelo, but unfortunately, like, that means I love working out, which is really good, but I also have to be physically prepared to be like, hey, we're gonna have a photo shoot. Hell yeah, let's go. Like, or the señoras commenting or the girls commenting on social media. I'm like, well, yeah, that creates engagement. Clients love engagement. My LGBTQ plus community love you too. Thank you for all the messages and all the DMs. Not gay, but I appreciate them. Like, todavía les mando sus corazoncitos. So it's I am such a PR person. Like, I majored in marketing, and they're like, well, you majored in marketing, what's the brand you're marketing? Me.
Yourself.
I'm the brand.
Maybe we should become influencers. No, we should probably become become influencer.
I know.
A lot of money. But circling back, I would think, I mean, just how I mentioned how we found you, it's on the radio.
Yeah. On the radio.
On the radio. And then just circling back to imposter syndrome, because I hear that a lot. But could you elaborate on that? Like, why do you consider that, or why do you have those thoughts?
Well, definitely, like working for companies like Univision, you're just like, why me? Like, and especially in the beginning, like I didn't know anything about radio. I knew how to edit YouTube. I didn't know how to edit audio, and it was completely different. And I was like learning, and obviously there's always going to be a learning curve. I always say when you go to a new job, 3 to 6 months is the learning curve. Like allow yourself to mess up and allow yourself. Now, obviously this is through time. I didn't know this when I first started, but I always say, like, ask as many questions. Like there's no such thing as a stupid question, and if they get frustrated at you, like it's okay, because it's just going to be making your job better in the long run, because later on you're not going to ask questions, and somebody else is going to do or like when they hire somebody else is going to be needing that, and you're going to be more willing to do so. But obviously in the entertainment industry, there's so many A-type personalities where they're loud and whatnot, and you're just like, mira todo el talento que yo tengo, y you're just like, wow, that's great, And that was at Univision. When I got to Cali, obviously imposter syndrome as, am I good enough to stand next to an Angelica Vale?
Yeah.
Am I good enough to talk on air and keep up a conversation and not choke or break or follow through with my conversation or make a fun? Like, am I even funny compared to her? Like, I don't know. Like, am I just eye candy at some point? So yeah, you get that imposter syndrome, and in this industry, like that's why I say one of my love languages is words of affirmation, and luckily, like I get that from my closest friends, and yeah, like. And even at work, I get so much words of affirmation from Angelica, from my coworkers, like, hey, you're a great producer, you're talented. And I'm like, I feel like they mean it, right? And I'm like, I'm just going to keep that feeling, right? That like I'm doing something right. And then it gets to the point where confidence can be confused as cockiness.
Okay.
But I'm like, I'm very confident in what I do because I know I can do it well, and I know I can do it better than most people. But because my surroundings have gave me that that validation, but that validation has also been shown it with numbers and has been shown with kindness. Like I'm never going to treat somebody and put somebody down and whatnot. Like, and I try to, like, every time I interact with somebody, you're always going to get a smile. You're always going to get like my good energy. Yeah. Because I want that to be the first impression. I want longevity in this career, right? And I was just having a conversation with like an actor from my pueblo, and so many people that they say like, oh, you couldn't break or you couldn't handle the entertainment industry. It's not that you couldn't do the work, it's that everything else, it can be so stressful that's what breaks you. Interactions with people, you have to just constantly put up a show.
Yeah.
Like, oye, sí, ¿cómo estás? Ay, sí, tanto tiempo sin verte. And you're just like, what the hell is their name?
Yeah.
Are you naturally introverted or extroverted?
I am a natural extrovert.
Oh, okay.
I feel like I'm a natural extrovert since I was a kid. But as you get older, you do tend to be like, I'm okay with not talking. Okay. Before in college, I hated silence. I hated silence. Yeah. Where I was just like, if we were to have this podcast and it'd be like, okay, awkward, But I've learned to embrace the silence because I love just going into my thoughts and being like, okay, so what are you going to do tomorrow? So you hear me talking in the radio from like 5 to 10 a.m. And then during the day, I hardly talk. Yeah. And like, but when you get me in the phone call with my friends and whatnot, like chatterbox all the way.
Yeah. And I also asked that because I know us, we're naturally reserved. We're more, if you could put a label on it, which I don't like labels, but if you could put a label on it, we're more introverted. And so with that, like in our business, we're e-commerce. We don't have to deal with customers every day. Granted, we are doing the social media, so we had to get out of the shell, talk to people, be alive on camera.
Yeah.
Do you think in the radio industry or in the entertainment industry, you had to be an extrovert to make it?
No. I've seen radio hosts who are introverts, but when they turn on that mic, they're extroverts.
Okay.
Yeah. So you don't. You just need a personality. You need a voice. You need intention with every word that you say. You need inflection. Like you can't just sound monotone.
Yeah.
You have to, tell a story with your voice. There's a thing called theater of the mind. If you can just close your eyes and just listen to this person talk and take you through a story and a journey, then you got what it takes. It's not like it was in the past where muy buenos días, bienvenidos a 101.9. Those days are gone. Now podcasting and radio intertwine a lot in terms of everybody has a personality. It's just, do you have the personality that radio station is looking for?
No, I mean, because I would think you had to be an extrovert. You had to be all like pumping up, but I mean that's something good. And then also follow-up question to that, what would you recommend for someone wanting to get into the entertainment industry? Because I know like how you mentioned growing up, you didn't know, or you didn't have a clear direction of how do I even get started? Who do I talk to? What emails do I send? How can I get in, my foot in the door?
Yeah. Okay. So entertainment industry, first and foremost, there's a space for everyone. So don't think like it is hyper competitive, but there's room for everybody. Like you want it, it's ambition and it is perseverance and it is never ending. And yeah, so just be okay with no's, but definitely take an improv class. I think improv is going to make you literally just witty and have a comeback or saying with any conversation. Like there's literally been times callers have tried to pull a fast one on you, and obviously you're just not going to be like, hijo de la chingada. Like you got to make it funny. You got to yes and I've done it with business clients. I've done it with friends. I've done it with people I just met. It's improv. You got to be witty. You got to feel the vibe, feel the energy, and that's what improv teaches you. And I was a super shy. I think I was a natural extrovert growing up within my family because I was comfortable with them.
Yeah.
But then it's like, how do I express myself freely amongst strangers? Right. And then obviously now as you get older, you start observing, like I love people watching, where you're just like, all right, that's that vibe. Like when I go to networking events, I'm there to network. Like, I'm like, who do I need to network? Like I'm the brand, or Cali is the brand, but I'm an observer. And then I'm like, I see the energy and I see the vibe, and then I just try to match it. But so definitely take an improv class if you could. If you want to go into TV, if you want to go into radio, if you want to go into TV, start a YouTube channel.
Okay.
Start a YouTube channel. If you want to do something like El Gordo y la Flaca, E-News, whatnot, but practice those skills. You don't need you might need to know the technical stuff by taking a class, but it doesn't have to be at a university. Community colleges have great programs. Like, oh my God, they just started a podcasting program at San Bernardino Valley Community College, and they have a decked out podcasting room that is free for its students. And you're just like, look at these resources that are free to the community, and you can just kind of go and ask and take a class or sit down in a class, because you could do that. Like you don't need to pay for a class, just sit down and maybe see if you like it and then take it the next semester. But if you're going to start TV, start YouTube. That way you're comfortable talking in front of the camera. If you want to start a podcast, start it. Start it and be like, just start talking. You're probably going to be like, man, I didn't like that. The first time I started the podcast, even though I had already done radio, it's different. In radio, I don't get to cuss. In radio, there's certain things I can't say. In podcasts, it's like, this is who I am. In radio, I'm an exaggerated version of my daily life, but because we're there to entertain. For my podcast, I want to entertain and I want to inform. So it's more of my reality, right? So yeah, if you want to go into radio, start a podcast, because you're going to need to know how to, one, speak to a mic and whatnot, and then how to hold a conversation. You got to be comfortable hearing your own voice.
Yeah.
And you got to be comfortable, just being able to run with a conversation and go with it.
What about equipment? Do you need the best equipment?
No, you don't. So obviously you got some really cool Shure mics right here. They're pretty expensive, I'll tell you that. $400. I have two, that's why. I have two. But when I first started, we started off with like a regular handheld mic with XLR cables. We did start with like a Zoom recorder. And I mean but because previously to Echale Podcast, I had a podcast with one of my fraternity brothers called Salud Podcast. And so that's how we started. And little by little, like I would think you need a huge equipment. But now because I do a lot of traveling with my podcast, I bought myself a DJI mic, and the DJI mic is about $250, and it comes with two mics that you can clip on if you don't want to handheld the mic, right? You could just clip it onto you and the other person, and then you can connect the other adapter to your phone, and you can record camera that way. If you want to invest in cameras, I have Sony. I know it's just kind of preference because at the end of the day, it's the lenses. But I just have two cameras that I have, and that's what I travel with. I travel with the DJI mics, but I actually, because I wanted to put a logo, I bought a $29 on Amazon, like handheld mics. And then just the cubes were expensive as hell to put the logos. I bought like a couple, they're like $60 each cube, right? But there's branding on it now. That way, when I do record the podcast and I do have video, like they're seeing the actual brand because I want brand recognition on it. So, yeah. Cool. So it doesn't, I would say, I mean, the cameras is probably going to be the most expensive, but start off with this phone. Yeah, definitely. Minimum $1,000, I would say. Yeah, because I learned that lighting is the most important. Because it can make, if you have the worst lighting, but you have the most expensive camera, it's not going to work. Yeah. So I try to do natural daylighting. I'm not going to lie. Yeah. And that's, I mean, just the learning process. Like we could buy the most expensive, but have bad lighting. So definitely get, Yes, I forgot to mention the lighting. Yeah, go back to some of my YouTube videos. You're gonna be like, what is wrong with you? I was like, I'm not good with cameras. Like, I don't know the settings. My brother's the one who knows the settings. Yeah. So some of my better work is because my brother filmed it. Like outsourcing. As your business starts to grow, you outsource. You don't have to be an expert for everything. Like I have an accountant. I don't know anything about. I mean, I know enough, and I love talking about money. But get a good accountant, and get a CPA, not just a regular tax person, because CPAs will know the loophole. You'll pay a little bit more money, but they'll save you a lot more. Advertising, shit. Like marketing is so huge when it comes to like marketing your stuff, whether that be marketing on radio, paying ads on Instagram or TikTok, that's not buying followers. No, you're just trying to reach a new audience. Don't buy followers though. Don't do that. That's just going to mess up your engagement. And guess what? We can tell when you buy followers. I love talking business. So 2019, you guys started this business, right? Yeah. How has the net been growing year over year? So I know in 2019, Shark Tank, because it was just I'm out. I'm just kidding. Because it was just the two of us, and so there wasn't a lot of overhead. We had a small office, and so we were pretty much doing like from the marketing to the sales to the fulfillment to all those things. So the profit was it was good because there was not a lot of overhead. It was roughly like you want percentages or numbers? I want numbers. Okay, numbers. What was it like? I want people to get inspired. So 2019, I would say that the revenue was like what, 100? Like 105? Like after 105? Deductions, after paying off? So the gross revenue. Yeah, gross. So the revenue was like 105,000 in sales, but then the profit itself was like around 29. Yep. Around 30,000. So that was the first year. How much did you guys pay yourselves? In that one, we were probably paying ourselves like not a lot, huh? The minimum, just minimum wage. Paying our bills, just to survive. Minimum wage. And so we were paying ourselves. And so I know that year it allowed you to go full time. And I think I went that year too, or was it the next year? It was the same year. The same year. That's when you guys knew like, oh, something. How did the pandemic come and change that? Yes. And so because we are in e-commerce, that completely changed. Like you've seen, like you couldn't go outdoors. So all you had was your computer, your phone, your TV. So people went online, and then the unemployment came in, and then the checks. Did you guys get a
PPP loan, yes.
You did?
We did, because at that point
Eso mamones, get it for the Latino community.
Yeah, and so in 2020, the revenue grew to 700,000 in a year. And then the profit, the gross, and so then the profit, what was that? Because I think you're more familiar with the profit.
Yeah, I don't remember, but I think it was
like 15%, huh? I remember it's hovered between, like, at the lowest last year was like 5%, 8%, and then up to like 25%. So the profit,
and it was still small.
It was us two, and then we had at that point 3 other people.
Yeah, because we got someone to help us in 2019 part-time, and then 2020 we had 2 more.
Yeah, we had.
So we had 3 in total.
Other people, right?
Other people.
Yeah, so in total we were 5, and so the profitability then was like around 15%, which 700, that's like 70, like around 100,000 in profit. 2021, that's when pretty much it took off. That's when the unemployment really started coming in, the checks. The what do you call it when they give out the checks? The
stimulus.
The stimulus came out, and so pretty much from February, the sales were like, let's say 80,000. So the next month they just doubled out of nowhere, just with us not doing anything. People just started buying online,
and so that they had extra money to buy.
Yeah,
instead of investing it, y'all.
And that's the thing. Like maybe you could go deeper into that to what people should have done or could do. But people started buying, and so I know that year the revenue shot up to 1.8 million.
Yep.
I love this.
Yeah, and then the profitability was around the same thing, like 15%. So 1.8, so that's 180, like a little over 200, 250. Yep. And I think that includes our wages, huh?
And okay. So out of those 200, did you guys just reinvest it back into the company since that was net because you guys paid yourselves off already, right?
Yeah. So we did try to invest in it or reinvest it back into the business, but at the same time, I think from the previous business that we had was to kind of like not overstretch ourselves. So we left like quite a bit of reserves in the bank account, but with that we had to pay a lot of taxes with that too.
Of course.
Yeah, and then 2022 was pretty much when things started opening back up. People started going back to work. There wasn't no more unemployment. There was no more stimulus check. And then the automotive industry, because we're in that, I don't know if you've heard, like cars aren't selling as much. Like there's a lot of repos. There's a lot of these things. And so we really felt that. And so we saw the revenue and sales starting to drop. And so that year, I think we did 1.6 million in sales.
Still great.
But the profitability did go down because, the sales did go down, but we still had like the infrastructure. We had the people, we had everything that's still like that, for growth. Like we still had
How do you guys market?
Primarily like on Google Ads.
Okay.
Facebook, we tried it. It's just that we weren't good at it then. So we kind of like just decided to focus on we were good at. So Google Ads. And then we saw in the marketplaces like Amazon, eBay, Etsy, and then our website. And so like pretty much just ads and the marketplaces. Yeah. So that's pretty much where.
But there's still so much room for growth, like in social media, just to have that presence. Like I can only imagine if this is just through ads, when the brand is known and it's like, whoa, this DIY kit to, oh my God, what is it? What's it called? Lo que hacen.
Yeah. DIY kits.
DIY kits, pero para los carros, pues. Like when people start actually following it and actually marketing it and whatnot and like engaging with it, then you guys become, kind of, I don't want to say a monopoly of it, but like the guys who started and they're Latinos. How is the like this is a question, how's the turnover rate?
It's like with people, huh?
Yeah, with people.
And that's one of the things that we've learned as building a culture that people want to come and work here. And so at the beginning, 2021, like we didn't really know what we were doing. That was the first time we were hiring people, working with people. And so the turnover wasn't high though. It was maybe like, well, I think it wasn't high. Like maybe 1 out of like the 4 people that we hired left. But then since then, the last time that someone did leave on their own accord was 2021. After that, like everyone that's working here, aside from the people that we hired this year, everyone has been working here since 2021. So like when we hire someone, one of the things that we look for more than anything is character, not necessarily skill, because that's one of the things that we've learned that at least with these type of positions where they're not like, you know, high, like where you need the skill, the character that someone possesses is a lot more important than the skill, because the skill can always be taught, but the character is something that they have, and it's something that really can make or break like the position that they're in and also the people around them. So
how are you making it equitable for both men and women?
Equitable
like I'm asking these questions because it's
and so I've never,
y'all can thank me later if you're listening to this.
I don't think we've ever thought of that, but one of the things, like, we just hire whoever the best person is for that job, because we don't want to hire someone just because they're certain, because then that also takes away from someone who has that ability, who has that character to be able to work that. And so more than, I guess, equity is just whoever's best for that position. And just how it is, like, for the fulfillment side, one of the things that we've seen, like, women are a lot, and not in a bad way, that's the thing, like, one of the things that we've learned that they're better in that particular position, HR, like, we, you know, woman is just naturally better. And then when it comes to like the images and all that, it really just came down to who had, you know, that character, but at the same time who had, you know, some of the skills. And so I don't think we've ever like really looked into that or anything like that. It's just whoever was the best fit, and it's really worked. Like how we were talking about the turnover, like it's non-existent. We haven't had someone leave like at all, because we've learned that the culture of the company is extremely important. Pay is important, but at the same time, culture is extremely important. Wanting to work here, like liking the people that you work with is extremely important. We learned that early on, and we've kept that, and the turnover is really low. And because of that, this year from last year, this has been our best year by far.
Damn.
When it comes to revenue.
It makes me so happy that two Latinos, you know, like, are killing it in LA, and obviously fulfilling their dreams, their parents' dreams, because it's another podcast is called Charra Seca podcast that says, like, our parents didn't come this far for us to get this far, so keep pushing more. And I feel like this is a clear example. And then, you know, I guess just be as transparent as possible with your employees at all times. And I say it from my experience at different companies. Obviously at that point it's like, you know, I whenever I have a business, I don't ever want to make my employees or the people that work with me, because I don't want to say they work for me, they work with me.
Exactly.
This is a partnership, like, you know, that they're not seen, they're not heard, or they're just a number. Because at the end of the day, well, no, you're part of this company, you're part of this culture, and you know, and I feel like so many people go into work thinking, I'm just another number, I'm replaceable. And yes, you are, but there's not going to be another Jose for sure, I'll tell you that.
No, definitely. And as far as that's pretty much it on that. And I don't know if you had anything else.
I think one thing to mention is we're always still learning in business, because the year we went down from 1.8 to 1.6, we were trying to do a lot of stuff that we didn't have a clear focus. And then also we thought that because we doubled in 1 month, that the trajectory was going to continue the same way. So we just kind of like chilled it back.
Like, we're a 3.6 value company. We're going to go to Shark Tank and ask for a $500,000 loan for a 5% stake in my equity.
Yeah, definitely. So, and that's something we learned, that we always got to continue like learning. We always have to learn. And that's something that, you know, we just had a clear focus this year. How, you know, my brother mentioned that it's our best year. And, you know, like, moving forward, we're just going to continue pushing. We're going to continue.
How did you guys, one quick question, find passion? Because you didn't go to school. You dropped out. My youngest brother dropped out a month before, you know, completing his bachelor's degree. But he's very much so... And I feel like as a brother, I can only support him. I can't be the person to tell him, because then you become a parent for the most part. And but he's like super into just video games and smoking weed. And then he goes to, you know, his job. Again, I don't have a problem with smoking weed. Go ahead. But I'm like, bro, like, you gotta keep going. Like, how would you guys motivate somebody like that?
At least for us, we know what motivated us, and it was our parents. That's first and foremost. I think you need to have a reason as to why you're doing some of the things. Like, if you want to succeed or you want to do something else, there needs to be a reason as to why. For us, it was our parents. For others, it was proving people wrong. For others, it was because people told them, like, no, you couldn't, you can't do it, or you kind of, they always talk bad about them. And so it was just proving people wrong. And so I think one needs to find the reason why to do things, because if you have that reason, in my opinion, I believe that waking up, getting out of bed, it's not an issue. It's just like you just have to do it. And so I think if people find their reason as to why, and it could be anything, it could be your kids, your wife. My kid is
oh, you have a kid?
Yeah.
Look at you.
I kept on that Latino tradition of having kids early on.
Yeah, I was like, still no kids, 32. What's good?
Yeah, and so it could be several reasons, but I think you just need to find your reason as to why you do things, as to why you wake up in the morning, and then having that and knowing that, I think it pretty much will motivate you to just get out of bed. But I know it's a difficult question because like everyone has their own, like everyone is different, but at least from what I believe, it's just knowing why you do things, having a why as to do it. And so for your brother, like, you know, why would he want to go and, you know, do more? It's like he needs to find the reason why.
Because he has everything at home. The house is paid for. You just like,
and that's one of the things that I was gonna mention. I think in order for you to find your why, you need that adversity, you need that challenge. Because I'm not familiar with your brother, you know, like I don't know if you're the oldest, so I'm pretty sure you had most of the responsibility. And you know, like if I was in that position, I'm comfortable, I'm playing video games, why? Like how you mentioned why. And you know, we kind of had that adversity seeing my parents work. My mom, she worked 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. We would see that. She would come home. She would feed us. My dad, the same thing. He would work. They would work for us. They couldn't provide like everything. You know, they provided the necessities, but we saw that like early on, we saw that. And, you know, having that adversity, okay, you know, we're not at the position we want to be at. We know our parents came to this country and looking for something else. So having that adversity is like, okay, no matter what, we're going to make it happen for them. And we're gonna make them proud. You know, we're gonna.
Did you guys already retire them?
Yeah. Well, my mom at least, because my dad, I think he still likes working.
Yeah.
But my mom, I know like the house that we bought, it's pretty much them because we moved out. But we're like right by them, and so like that was the goal.
Childcare, it's expensive. You got your mom.
I mean, yeah, like it definitely does help, and so like, and honestly, it's the best feeling in the world, like having accomplished that, and. Yeah. But it's because we, you know, that was our why at the beginning. That was our why, and so
that's awesome. No, super happy for y'all. Now I know que esas canas tienen nombre. It's called the kid and the wife.
No, definitely. I think genetically too. My dad has a lot.
Okay,
so.
I'm getting some already, so it's like, I'm gonna embrace it when I'm full.
Are you also looking to get a business, or because I know you mentioned that eventually in the future, do you have a business or?
I do. It's a DBA. It's not an LLC and whatnot. I'll eventually create an LLC out of it, but it's called Echale Entertainment, right? So within that, obviously, I have my Instagram. I have my podcast Instagram. I have the podcast itself, and then right now I'm finishing up an ebook where it'll be like Echale Ganas a tu vida, which is more of like my fitness journey and as to why I did it and my fitness tips that I've learned along the way. And I have my certification as a personal trainer, but I don't want to push like a lifestyle of fitness. I'm like, I just kind of want to give you the tools and the resources. Like, hey, this is the benefits of working out. These are the benefits of food. Like, these are some of the foods that our culture has for you that you can consume, you know? And even though it's an ebook, that's why it's very informal, right? That I'm writing it. I'm just going to have my graphic designer just do it, and then one of my friends who loves to read to proofread it, but kind of generating income there. Do I want to have my own business in the future, something like this? Yeah, I just still don't know what it would be. But I love entertainment, I love podcasting, I love talking, and if so many people are making content and making a living out of it, like I'm like, why can't I? You know, so I'm gonna continue to push for that unless something comes up where it's like, hey, the opportunity. I mean, I would love to go into real estate, but I would just hate to be a realtor. I just love properties and be like, all right, let me be a landlord. And I wouldn't probably be a landlord. I'd probably have a company manage it and just be like, yeah, take the 15%, I don't care. But yeah, so that's my business and my baby. I guess it's Echale Entertainment.
Awesome.
You know,
Awesome.
which is like an entertainment services. And my brother does the photography, videography.
Okay.
You know, so he has his drone. He's got like, he majored in sociology, but he's always been into music production. Like, you know, so he loves producing music, the middle one, not the younger one. That's why we're trying to find like a passion for him too.
Yeah.
But he loves music production. He loves video editing. Like, and I'm like, this helps me because I hate video editing. I hate recording.
Yeah.
I don't know angles. I don't know lighting. He like will go in rabbit holes about lighting and all this other stuff. So through him, I learned like I don't need to be an expert to be a quote unquote influencer, to be a vlogger. Like, he knows how to do it. Why not? If I can make some money off of it, why can't I just pay him?
Yeah, definitely.
You know? So for the Honda commercial, he shot it and I just paid him for it. You know? He's going to get a W-9 or whatever.
Yeah,
but shit, I'm like, you're paying taxes on it too. Like, that way he kind of learns too. But if it could be a family business, why not?
Yeah, definitely. Anyone could start a business. You just,
and just kind of do it. Find a passion, do it, and see how you can charge for it.
Do you want to get into politics? Because I know you mentioned you like talking politics. We like politics too.
I mean, go for it. Like, what are we talking about? Trump, Biden, hate both of them.
What are your views with like what's going on with the presidency? And then I know.
So you know what? I feel I lean more Democratic, but I am also like a conservative Democrat. But then I'm also like a liberal. Like, I could go Republican one year, I could go Democrat the next year. Do I not like Trump for what he's said and done to our community and the barriers that he's held for our community to, you know, persevere when it's like, bro, this is a country built of immigrants. Like you. I'm not a fan of you. Do I feel like you are a great businessman? Yeah, I mean, granted, nobody has $1 million that their daddy gives them and to start a business to play around with, but guess what? You were able to turn $1 million into multi-million. So you know what? Kudos to you. It's called generational knowledge and generational wealth. I'll probably have that one day with my kids. You probably will too. And it's just the way life works. I always think of like the Nepo babies and what, like, my kids are going to be Nepo babies too. Like, so the whole point of us succeeding in this country is so our family members in the future don't have to work as hard as we did. You know, my parents, your parents, le chingaron un chingo.
Yeah.
We had to do it in our own way, but now our kids won't have to do it as much as we did, you know? And you guys didn't have to go through what your parents had to go through. So in that sense, it's like, look, Trump's dad gave him $1 million to play with. It's generational wealth. It happens. Live with it, deal with it. We can't get stuck in the, but he had $1 million. Okay, so what? Grab your $1 million, pass it on to, you know, through a trust fund, right? But there's just something about his lack of leadership and his lack of sensitivity and his lack of, you know, through the whole situation with immigration. And it's just like, well, you're just attacking Latinos where immigrants, the majority of the immigrants come through plane, not through the border, you know, and they just overstay their visas. And I'm like, why can't you get that through your head? Biden, on the other hand, I feel like, I mean, Democrat, we wanted something different. So, I mean, I voted for Biden because I didn't want Trump. And I was just like, I hate false promises from politicians. And I hate that he doesn't have guts to stick to his word. Like, obviously, I have student loan debt that I want to get rid of. He did promise student loan. Do I feel like student loan cancellation would help? Hell yeah. Like, if PPE loans were forgiven, why can't student loans be forgiven? You know, if there's so much taxes that we pay for certain things, why can't some certain things be subsidized? And I just feel like he has guts. Do I feel like when so many people say like, but you decided to take out the loan? I was like, yeah, but these colleges are predatory. And I'm 18 years old with a lack of knowledge that this education system provided. So of course I'm going to be rebellious and revolt later on when I'm aware of it all. But do I also feel like, I have a decent job. I could pay off my loans. Cancel the interest. I'll pay off my loans. Cancel the interest. Don't keep fucking me up, and I'll pay the loan. Like, help me in some type of way. Meet me somewhere where I feel like I'm not getting screwed over in the long run, and this American dream is being pushed further and further away, you know? So where do I stand in politics? I mean, I'll know when I get there, because right now, do I feel like there should be a age limit as to who's in Senate, who's in the chair of presidency? Yes. Am I like super AOC? I'm like, hell yeah, I like what she talks. And do I love Bernie Sanders? I wanted Bernie Sanders. I felt it was different. You know, was it super radical? And so many people are like, they're so out there. Maybe that's what we need. You know, you don't know. Like, a lot of people thought we needed Trump. That's why they voted for him. And guess what? Like, you know, a lot of people were saying like, well, Trump's economy was great. I was like, well, he also started the pandemic. Well, like, he could have prevented a lot of deaths by, you know, closing the borders, closing flights. He could have done a lot more communication. Yeah. Anywho, ask questions and I got you.
And that's one of the things, because I think
I'm over here that you guys are probably like, I hate this guy.
No. We've always been here in our own bubble. And so when it comes to politics, I feel like the lack of just the lack of knowledge and what's going on, I think has also like maybe prevented us from seeing things like from a bigger point of view. One of the things that I know that you've mentioned it and that people have mentioned is that Trump was like kind of like talking down on Latinos or like pretty much just.
It was his narrative. It was his agenda.
What were those things? Because I know build a wall.
Yeah, build a wall.
And the build a wall, I think the intention. Well, I don't even know what the intention, but then kind of like, what are some of the things that he said?
Well, I think just identifying like undocumented people as aliens, and it's like, really, bro, like they have to be from another planet, first of all. You know, illegal aliens and lots of them. I can imitate them really well, but that so it's lack of sensitivity towards other cultures, ethnicities, and whatnot. There's the whole that, you know, Mexico's not sending its best people; it's only sending rapists and murderers and whatnot. And it's like, well, most mass shootings are here in the United States done by white males. Like, so there's domestic terrorism, but you're not going to acknowledge that. You're not going to do anything of that, because guess what? The NRA is giving you money. And like, we get it. Like all these business, big pharma and whatnot, they're putting and pushing agendas in politicians because they're getting money out of it. And I'm just kind of over it. And it's like, how do you want me to pay taxes and not be an asshole about it? How do you want me to not advocate for you know, universal health care, for an immigration reform, for student loan cancellation, you know, when you guys are just easily being swayed on like, vote yes or no on this? Oh, I'm gonna vote no on this because they gave me $50,000. Well, yeah, fuck you. Give us some of that money. Speak up for your constituents. Like, I'm tired and of like, in Mexico, at least I know they're corrupt. Here it's like they're trying to tell you that they're not corrupt. Like, no, you are. You are. And as we get older, it's like, we're not dumb. So hi everybody. Good morning.
Well, I mean, we can't vote, so.
Oh, that's true. We can't vote.
Yeah, we can't vote. No, I think if we were to, or at least for me, I'm not talking for you, but I wouldn't consider myself either Democratic or Republican. It's just whatever I see fit. Because one thing I do agree with that Obama did, because it benefited us, which was the DACA. But like, pretty much a lot of the stuff that LC did is pretty much like on the fence. Like, some I agree, some I don't. So I think it's just especially nowadays, people are like, you're either going to be on the right or you're going to be on the left. You're either going to be Democratic or you're going to be Republican. If you're Mexican, you better you're Democratic. If you're, you know, like from the US, you know, and you also get associated by state. If you're from California, you're gonna you have to be Democratic, or if you're from Texas, you have to be Republican. But I think people should be able to decide without the public pressure of, you know, I'm afraid to speak out. I'm afraid to, you know, I don't agree with everything that Biden says, or I don't agree with everything that Trump says. I think people should just, you know, like decide, okay, this candidate I agree with because he is in favor of this, but I also don't agree with because he does this.
Yeah. And I think there's been a notion lately, and it has to do maybe through the years of politics and media coverage, that we've associated blue with good, red with bad. Like, Democrats are good, they're nice people. Republicans are mean, evil. And we see them with some of their people in the Senate, or, that, like, you're just like, really? What is in your head? Las cosas que dices son estupideces. But it's not that way. I have so many Republican friends that I can have a decent conversation with, and then I'm like, you know what, I didn't see it that way, because I'm so, I don't want to say blinded, but I'm just so bombarded with all like the democratic stuff that I'm like, oh, I don't agree with. But then I'm like, wait. And then as you start owning a business, you obviously are trying to see where to pay less taxes.
Yeah.
Because, California taxes you for everything.
Yep.
So you're just like, well, yeah, I'm going to lean more towards what benefits me.
Yep.
And I think not everybody can be a business owner, but everybody should own a business, because then you start learning the tax system and how it can benefit you. Yep. Like I have $100 and W-2 employee, then they tax me, then I have this much left. I have $100 here, but I pay everything first, and then I get taxed on whatever's left. And it's just like, genius.
It is.
We paid more in taxes in California than federal.
Oh, that's true. Like, there was several years that California taxed us more than the federal, that they did. So
I'm like, I hope everything is has a tax write-off. Your cars, you hired your kids, you have your 401ks, your IRAs, your backdoor IRAs. Like, look into that, and if your accountant hasn't told you that, get a new one.
He's like I would say they're solid, because I know they deal with like business owner type of plans. So I know, like, and I know you handle more of that.
So they're a firm. They're so they're pretty good.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
You want a second opinion? I got you guys.
Okay.
I'm not a CPA, but like I have people
Appreciate
who are CPA Latinos, trying to always keep the money brown.
He's Latino, huh? Like Vasquez?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. Keep the money brown, yo. Keep the money brown.
Okay.
No, definitely. No, but is there anything else you want to say to anyone who is watching? Any piece of advice, whether it be like business, politics, or saving, or trying to build that generational wealth like you mentioned, or
whatever you do in life, go for it. Don't live in the fear. Don't give people the power over you. So one thing that my drama teacher in high school said, if you learn to make fun of yourself, nobody else is gonna take that away from you. Like nobody else is going to be able to make fun of you. So that really stuck to me. So if I fall, trip, mess up, haha, Jose, guess what? I'm going to laugh with you. Like I'm not going to be like, get all red. And people tend to do that. They get all shy and red. It's like, no, people want to see you succeed. So be comfortable with who you are. Be comfortable to make fun of yourself, because then nobody else is going to have that power for you. That doesn't mean you're not going to get embarrassed from time to time, but that's just life. And then listen to my podcast. Follow me on Instagram. Echale Podcast, @Jose Quintero TV. That's my Instagram, or Echale Podcast on Instagram. But that's where we're at. Trying to get those numbers up.
Everything is going to be in the description, so check it out. Check them out. Definitely. But any final thoughts before we end it?
What does your podcast mainly consist of?
So it's a little bit of everything. Again, like you guys said, defining what I wanted to do. So now kind of the tagline is echándole ganas a la vida, one day at a time. So it's storytelling. It's stories, whether those stories are from people from my town, like how they got to where they are, their business owners, their finance podcast, where it's like, well, let me hear your story, but then how did you get to where you are? If it involves finance, but it's like we're all trying to live this thing called life, and we're all trying to live it one day at a time. Entonces, one thing that my mom would always say is like, échale ganas, mijo, every time I would go to school. So it's like echándole ganas a la vida, one episode at a time. So with every episode, I just want people to take away something, whether it be entertainment, a funny laugh, or valuable information that they can go home and kind of be like, you know what Jose said about a 529 plan, an IRA, or maybe I should start a business, maybe I should start a podcast, So I want them to take away something that they can continue echándole ganas a la vida in.
Awesome. Yeah. And if you want to, like I mentioned, everything is in the description. Check out Jose Quintero with Jose Quintero TV.
Yeah.
My name is Alexis.
My name is Juan.
Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.